Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining us today for the Untangle Tech Talk series. Today we're going to be showcasing the new dashboards in our version 12 that was just released a few weeks ago. My name is Shannon Miles and I'm part of the product marketing team here with Untangle, and I'm your host today. I also have with us our Director of QA, John Coffin, who will be going through the demonstration and presenting all the cool new features with the dashboards. And I also have some of our sales and technical untanglers on the webinar to help answer questions throughout the way. So next slide. So before we get started, just a few housekeeping rules. If you have any audio issues, please just use the audio panel on the right-hand side and make sure you select the correct preference. If you use a phone, you will need to dial in and use the access code provided. Just to remind everyone, this webinar is being recorded, so you will have the option to rewatch or revisit areas that you need to follow up on. As I mentioned, we'll be answering questions throughout the presentation, but if we happen to not answer your question or get to you, please always send emails to sales@untangle.com or support@untangle.com. Now, before I pass this off to John, I just want to reiterate, this is a highly technical webinar, so if you're not familiar with Untangle, the Untangle solution, or any networking concepts, I would suggest you take a look at our Untangle 101 webinar series, which cover more high-level topics, and you can find a list of these on our website. And let's see, I think that's it. So John, if you want to go ahead and take it away.
Well, thanks so much for the introduction. Just want to present our new dashboards. I'm really excited by this. I actually use it quite a bit because it gives me a kind of a overall view of what's going on with the network, and I don't have to go inside the individual apps. I'm going to go through each of the widgets that we have in the app and then look at how you can customize it for yourself. One of the most useful things about the new dashboard is that you're able to spot issues on your network and then make changes and compromise so the network is working smoothly. It's a way of kind of catching things before you start getting a million calls like, hey, there's something wrong with the network. So what's a widget? Let's go ahead and go to an Untangle. This actually has live data going through it. And this is kind of the view that we're used to in the older versions of Untangle. The new home landing page is now this dashboard. And as you can see, I have quite a few widgets. And widgets are just bits of information either presented in text or in a graph mode that help you visualize what's going on with the network. As you can see, it's a live network, so each of the widgets is changing automatically as it gets new data, and it's able to give me more. So there's a couple of ways to kind of manage that. Here's your list of all the widgets that you have. For example, you can go with the default, and I'm just going to go ahead and reset mine to default. And it just took one off. So I only had one new one on here. So it gives you a list of the different features you have, and you click this add, and it'll give you a list of all the types of widgets. Unfortunately, I added almost all the information ones already. So let me just take one out so you get an idea of how comprehensive this list is. So we have here, we have a server information one. And I'll go ahead and click Done and Apply. And I can also move these around so I can get them in the list. I kind of like the information ones all together as opposed to the reports and events. So then if we take a look, it's added in and it's placed in the order that you see them in there. There's some smaller ones and bigger ones. Obviously the reports and events are going to be a larger size because there's a lot smaller data in there and it's harder to see. So we made those by default a larger one. A couple things I can look on here. One of the biggest widgets that I always look at is the network interface usage. And this particular instance has 2 dual WANs and I can see, how the data is going through each one of them. It also has 3 internal LANs. There's internal interface 4 and 5. So I can see, obviously, this green one, the external, it's the biggest pipe, so it's going to have the most amount of data. I can see how well, if it's being saturated or so forth, and take a look to see what's causing saturation if I see that really jump up. A couple of other things, I can look at any kind of alerts that I've been receiving. One of the new alerts is to tell me if there's a new device on the network, and I can see what kind of device it is. And it also will give me the table on that. There's some changes you can do. Here is the top bandwidth, basically what clients behind the Untangle are using the most amount of bandwidth, and I can just go down and see the names of the different computers. Usually it's best if you kind of name the computer, something like that. You can do that through the device. I can go through that, so you have a better idea of who's actually doing that. You can also create reports that are by user if you're using like Directory Connector or Captive Portal to identify those machines. One simple way is I'll go ahead and just add, and that is a type of report. So if I look at my reports, I'll go down to bandwidth usage, and if I was using Captive Portal or Directory Connector, I could go ahead and just do, let's see, top clients by total bytes. So in that case, I could go there and then add that in. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and apply that and take a look. I mean, unfortunately, I don't use usernames for identifying traffic, so it only lists it by IP. But if you're using Directory Connector, like in a Windows domain controller, things like that, you would actually see who's using all the bandwidth and how it regulates. So you can actually refresh these manually, or it does refresh, I believe, every 5 minutes it's set for. Some of the more important things that I have on my widget area is the system resources. See if my CPU is having difficulty keeping up with the amount of traffic. I can see what's going on there. Also, real critical is how full my disk is. In this particular one, I'm actually retaining a year's worth of data, and so I really need to keep an eye on the hard disk usage to make sure it doesn't go excuse me, to the very end and get filled up and then start causing problems. And then I can manage that by changing my data retention. Looks like in this case my memory usage is pretty good, and you can see the CPU load is really good. This is actually a I'm looking at here, so it's a dual core, so I want to keep this under 4 because it's double the number of cores that you have is what you want to do. It also lists all the interfaces, make sure they're up, and then this kind of it's a really nice screen just to give you a broad range of what's going on in your network. It also can be customized very much about how the reports is working. So if there's a particular report that is not built in, so if we look at that, all the built-in reports, because all these built-in reports can be turned into widgets. So let's look at so here's all the reports that are pre-made, and these can be turned into widgets very simply, and I'll show you that in a minute. But for example, let's say there isn't one that I need. For example, I want to look at how many people are using Facebook during the day on the site right now. So what I'll do is I'll look at, for example, top domains, and let's take a look at that. And it doesn't really tell me exactly what I'm looking for because I'm really looking specifically for Facebook. So what I'm going to do is make a copy of this report so I can make a custom version. Okay, actually, this is not the report. let me cancel this, and that's not the right one. I want to look at web usage. So let's see here, web usage right here. Over time, this one right here would be perfect. So we're going to make a copy of that because we're going to customize that. And what I want to do is put, I'm going to look for Facebook web usage. And I'm going to add a filter to this. So we want domain. Let me look at this up. It's always easier. Domain. And if it's going to Facebook. Well, this is not going to catch every instance of it going to Facebook. Facebook uses a lot of subdomains to kind of send their data, but generally people go to facebook.com first and then get their data. So we're going to go ahead and add that filter. I've changed the title here. So this is going to be my new custom report. As you can see, it's a custom report because I can delete it in the future if I want to. Let's go ahead and apply this. And let's go back to the dashboard. So now I'm going to make a widget out of that custom report. So I'll go to Manage Widgets. I want to add, and this is a report. And I got to look for my report that's under Web Filter. And let's see, where's my custom one? Let's see, where is that? That's strange, it didn't show up. So let's see here. That's not the one I'm looking for. Let me just refresh the screen. And let's get out of that, and then, so let's just refresh the screen, and we're back. Let's try that again. So we're going to add, and it's a report, and let's go down to Web Filter. Here it is. Web Filter Facebook usage. I probably just missed it last time. So we're going to click Done. And I'm going to go ahead and move this to the top because I'm kind of interested in that one in particular. So I'm going to reorganize my widgets. I'm going to say OK. And here's my new widget based on the custom report that I just generated. So it shows me how many people, how many hits I'm getting on Facebook. So obviously, you know, you can see as the workday goes on, you get more and more hits on that, and I can update it. And that just kind of shows me how often, you know, people are going to Facebook and whether I need to kind of clamp down on closing that off if it's wasting too much time at the office. Some of the other things I can look at is also manage my hosts and devices. So currently I have 29 active hosts behind my Untangle, and the maximum I've seen in a 24-hour period is 33. So it's well under my license usage. I can also look at the devices directly and name them. If I want to go ahead and let's see a device that I kind of know what's there. Let's see here. I think I have an Untangle here. I don't see it offhand, but I could go ahead and name that and give that an easier name. For example, I could say Vince Computer and apply that, and that will give me a name on there. So this is kind of the useful, and you can change this to anything you want. For example, some people don't find, like, I'm not really interested in the information about my device, how long it's been up and what version it's on. So I can just go ahead and just take that off. I can disable that. And now it's removed. So I can kind of move these around and shape them the best, the way I need them. And I can just leave the screen up and it automatically updates as I go along. Some of the other, let's see what we have here. Let's go back. So we kind of went over the widgets, the widgets, what they are, the system information, CPU load, hosts and devices, the sessions, alert events. It's kind of nice. If you don't like getting alerts in email, some people just leave that screen up and it does list all the alerts. Reorganizing the widgets, we kind of went through adding the reports. Let's see what else here. Let's look at some questions. Let's see here. Yeah, we're going to be rolling out 12 over some period of time. If you're looking to get this early, please open a support ticket and just list your UID, and we can put you on the early rollout list. It's pretty easy to do, and it's going to be pretty much once you go into updates, it's going to say updates available, and you just click update, and you'll be able to go from 11 to 12 very easily. Can you view the dashboard externally? Yeah, you definitely can. You just got to make your admin panel available on your WAN. That's a setting inside network. It's if you want to make this widgets available on the outside, you just go to Networks, Advanced, and Filter Rules, and you want to select Allow HTTPS on WANs. That would give you virtualization. You can definitely virtualize Untangle. We recommend VMware. We actually supply an OVA, so you can just load it directly without having to install it from ISO. Makes it quite easy. Let's see what else. Any particular questions here?
Hey, John, there's some questions about resources when they're upgrading to 12. Does it take more resources? And then also, does having these widgets on the dashboard, does that affect the CPU load?
It does affect the CPU load, but from what I've actually loaded up over 40 widgets at one time and had them running pretty consistently, and I literally saw less than a 1% load on the CPU. So since these individual widgets are not continuously updated, what they are is they're updated in intervals, and they're not all updated at once. So as you can see it, you can actually see when the item is updated with this little circle. It'll start turning as it updates. Like this one just updated, so that's currently doing it. So we minimize the CPU load by making them not continuously updating, but instead of updating by interval, so that works out in maintaining your CPU. This machine actually that's running here has been running since the 9.4 days. It's run with the same memory, same CPUs, really has not really changed the amount of load and memory usage since actually it went down when it went from 9 to 10. And it's gone up a little bit since 11 because of reports, but really minimal. So as long as you're not running your Untangle on very minimal hardware where you're constantly seeing maximum memory use and maximum CPU usage, you should have no problems with 12. Let's see. There was let's see. Like on VMware, I have had problems getting it running on Hyper-V. There's been some people who have had success running on it, so forth. It does require a little bit of more effort. VMware, like I said, we supply the OVA, so it's really easy to just instantly load the OVA, and within 5 minutes you have a running Untangle. That's the only, it's just what we kind of picked that works well. Otherwise, you can get it working on Hyper-V. There's some people out there. If you have questions and you run into problems running on Hyper-V, I suggest posting to the forums. I've seen a lot of help from other people who are running Hyper-V, so it's definitely useful.
Hey John, one of the really cool things about the new update to 12 is that this dashboard is responsive. So maybe you can show that.
Yeah, so the dashboard is completely responsive. Each of the updates each of the widgets will update automatically on a time interval. You can also force the update by, oh, we just saw that move, so it just updated. So you can also force it by clicking on a little circle, and it updates automatically. But all these widgets automatically update, so you can just leave the screen up and get a clear view of what's going on in your network at any moment. For example, like there was high use on interface 5 here. It's like someone's using something in particular and it just dropped off. It's kind of interesting to see how that happens. I find it really useful is when I look at the alerts, is seeing if the WAN went offline, and then I can tell which WAN it went off of by looking inside my WAN failover to see that. And then I actually would have gone back to the ISP and said, your downtime is more than you have in your contract. So I've been able to negotiate discounts based on these reports. It's kind of something kind of interesting to know. The only one I really am critical of on this particular unit is if the main WAN, because all our IP phones go through that. Let's see some other questions. Can I take a backup of the configuration on 11 and import it? That will work. You can use the backup and restore from 11 and put that on 12. It should work over, no problem. One thing you cannot do is do import and export particular settings for for example, take the web filter block sites, export them from 11 and import them into 12. That won't work. Import and export needs to work on the same version, but backup and restore does work, usually 1 to 2 versions behind. Let's get another quick question here. My point about updates not changed in this version. My point is when I click updates, I have no. The problem with having a whole list of updates is that there's a ton of files that get updated, and we used to have a whole list on there, and then people would want specifics on each file. A lot of them have to do with the underlying Debian. 12.0 goes to a new version of Debian, which is Jessie, which is version 8. So there's a lot of, we should have a lot better, newer hardware compatibility with Jessie. I just noticed my wireless drivers did have some improvement in some of their bandwidth because I noticed Jessie had new improvements on their wireless drivers. Let's see. So that's the reason. It's just the list is so long and it doesn't really tell you. The best way to find out what has changed when you go to a new version is go to the changelog. We list pretty much everything in there. Another good place, if you can go to our bug database, which is public, which is bugzilla.untangle.com, you can actually go to what version and you'll get a list of all the feature enhancements and bug fixes for a particular version. That is like the best way to find out what's the changes between the two. OpenVPN is compatible between version 11 and 12. I think some of these questions come up a lot of times because there was a huge change between 9 and 10, and it required a new install, and it also required people to pass out their new VPN clients. That was kind of a one-time deal because we made major changes in networking. Since version 10, and also if you look back previous history to Untangle, until version 9, everything was completely upgraded through the versions. So like on version 12, you can completely upgrade. Everything's compatible with the previous version, so you shouldn't have any issues upgrading or restoring from a backup.
Hey John, can you also show that you can view these dashboards on, a tablet or a mobile device? If you just want to log in and you're on the go and want to check out what's going on in your network.
Oh yes, that's a good point. One of the, let's see here, there's a way to show this in tablet form. Let's see here. I'm trying, sorry, got me off guard here.
That's okay. I think just showing this right now, John, it shows how the dashboard adjusts itself to fix a different size screen, which therefore allows you to view it on your mobile phone or a tablet if you want to just check in on your network. So that's one of the new things with 12 that we're very excited about.
Yeah, so this is what it's going to look like if you have it on a smaller device. For example, like an iPhone. You'll get this thinner view, and it kind of compresses everything and brings it down to a smaller level, so you can scroll through it. And then you can just go through whatever you need to. Let's switch back here. So it does adjust quite a bit, and resize to everything. So it's pretty responsive to any kind of device that you're going to have. Any other questions that we have here? Let's see.
There's some questions about the install steps from 11 to 12, if you want to just briefly go over that.
Yeah, so really the install is exactly the same as 11. You won't really see any difference. Are we talking about installing from new, or I missed that question?
I think upgrading.
Oh, okay, yeah. So the steps for installing version 12 and 11 are exactly the same. What I really recommend is that you just upgrade, and again, it's through config and then upgrade, and it'll check for the updates, and then you can just click on upgrade if it's available for you. Again, if you don't want to wait for your particular time that you're going to get the rollout to you, I would suggest sending your UID to the support team and just say that you want to get on the priority list for version 12. So that's the easiest way to get that. Some people are looking to install. I'm just like, it's a lot of work. I mean, if that's something you want to do, especially for people who have only very small time slots that they can do the upgrades for policy reasons. Example, schools try to do it only when the students are out. They'll go ahead and do a new install and then do a backup and restore on there. Again, the backup and restore is right here through config and then system. And you just go to backup, take the backup file, install your 12.0, and then when you get 12.0 running, you just go restore and then restore all settings, and then select your backup file and then restore. And there's a conversion process, so it does take some amount of time. Probably plan on 30-45 minutes, depending on the speed of your hard disk, until it is fully operational. Any other questions we have here? Let's see. The rollout will usually be between 1.5 months to 3 months. Typically, it's an 8-week period for the rollout. So any other questions offhand? Let's see. Yeah, so you definitely, one of the biggest features that I would say about the widgets is that you can actually create your own widget by going to reports and then creating a custom report. I do say though, unless you have a pretty good handle on SQL, I recommend that you find a report that's similar to what you want. For example, I did that with the web filter to get specifics on Facebook, is to find a report that you're looking for, then make a copy of it, and then make changes to the report. You can change the columns, you can change the type of the legend for it, the units. You can also change the database query to get specifically what you want. Save that report, and then, of course, go to your widget, manage your widgets, and then add a new one, and then select the report from the list of what you have, the new custom one. And then in that case, you're going to get, and then your custom widget will be in there. So it's a way of really building a widget to whatever you want to have. Yeah, the trial period for apps is still 14 days for the trial. If you need longer, send an email to support, and we'll definitely extend that trial period if you're looking for it. There is a complete SQL we have on the wiki. So let me see here if I can get to that real quick. On the wiki, you can go to, let me just bring up a new browser. Okay, that's not cooperating with me. So yeah, if you go to our wiki, we have all the SQL tables and so forth. So if you need to create a special report, you can see what the tables that are available. Again, I can't fail to mention that you can get a lot of help on our forums. If you want to have like specific questions for your area, please post on the forums. Our head engineer, Dirk, who is our founder also, he is on the forums constantly. I'm on the forums. We've had support teams that are on there. Pretty much any kind of question that you need, post on the forum. We definitely are pretty active on there. As you can see, I think between Dirk and I, we probably post 50 or so help posts on there daily. Let's see some other questions. Yes, the upgrade can be done manually without a full install. That's definitely, you just, for the upgrade, you'll have to wait until it's available for your particular box. And that happens over a rollout over the next 2 months or so. So you do not have to do it. Some people are just anxious and want to do a full install and do a backup restore. The other way to get version 12 early is, again, send your UID, which is in your config, and then about your UID is listed there, and just send it to support and say, I would like to be on the priority list for version 12. You should get it pretty quickly, I would say within a couple of weeks in that case. Come on. Looking at user reports, Session count is, so it depends on the session count. Someone asked, what is the session count on the reports? Excuse me. And the sessions are really in a time increment. So it's how many sessions in this particular view, when I go to reports and then sessions, it's how many sessions in a 1 minute period. So as I think the box is a little bit busy because it's got heavy traffic going through it during the day. So you can look at how many sessions that has. For example, here, so this looks like it's a 1 hour period, and I had 13,000 sessions in a 1 hour period at 10 a.m. this morning. So that just kind of gives you an idea of that. So I don't know if you were looking for more than that. Let's see here. Let's see. You can definitely have the updates pushed out at the same time. Again, the key is to provide those UIDs. The other thing you can do is turn upgrades automatically off, from automatic to off. And so you can decide when to upgrade all three at the time. The one thing to know is that if you have like VPN tunnels or OpenVPN connecting multiple sites, it doesn't really matter if one site is 12 and the other site is 11. There's complete compatibility between site to site between those two versions. So for some reason, if you're worried like, oh, my site to site might break, don't worry, we definitely cover that. It's one of our biggest test cases that we make sure that we have compatibility between different versions, and we stay that way when you do an upgrade. One thing, we're getting a lot of questions on upgrades. One thing to know for sure, this upgrade does take quite a bit of time. On a fairly fast machine with almost no load, it can take between 20 and 30 minutes. I've had one machine that took well over an hour, so definitely plan on this. It does take some time to upgrade, so be patient with it because we have to do a database conversion in the background while the upgrade is happening. So we've changed the database somewhat, and it does have to do a conversion, and that conversion just takes time. A lot of it just depends on your data retention. If you're doing like a year data retention, of course, it's going to take a lot more time. If you're running on a laptop hard drive for your Untangle, of course, that's one of the slower drives, and that's going to take some time. So definitely plan on that. Realistically, I would say within an hour it should be fully upgraded. But like I said, I've had some longer machines, just depending on how much data you have. I think that's pretty well the questions. I feel like we're getting a lot more questions on people upgrading than the dashboards. Dashboards are pretty simple to use. It's just a great feature that you can leave up. I really prefer this view to the individual items because I have to kind of scroll. Some of the ones I'm not really interested in, like the firewall, it kind of does its job, and I really don't have to worry about it. But if you are interested, you can make a widget and show what you need. It's just pretty useful. I've really grown to love the whole dashboard very much. It's like my only view now of active sites. With that, I think.
Yeah, John, if you can head back, thanks to the deck. So I know we have a lot of questions that are rolling in. We do have some videos that we've posted on the release page, so you can check those out. And as John mentioned, if you have any questions, post it on the forums. Like he said, we have our people on 24/7 answering questions, trying to help you out. And also check out our YouTube channel. We have a number of videos around this new release, including the community webinar for version 12, which we had a few weeks ago. So that actually goes into a lot more detail on all of the different features that were updated in this release. So make sure to check those out. If you go to the next slide, John. And then, if you need help or anything, or if you're not sure you're going to do the upgrade, or you have a new installation that you want to do and have some configuration questions, we do offer professional services, so that's always an option if you're not sure if you're doing it correctly. So just contact sales. And then lastly, we have tons of resources. Sales at untangle.com, support at untangle.com, the wiki, which has all documentation about the release, including the change log. Again, the forums. And we do have some more tech talks coming up. Next month in April, we have a create your own report. So John kind of touched on it today on how to create your own reports and then take that into a widget. He's going to go into a lot more detail on how to make very customized reports for different use cases. And then May 10th, we renamed in version 12 HTTPS Inspector to SSL Inspector. So we're going to go through some of those changes in that webinar. So make sure to register. Thank you everyone so much for attending. Again, if we didn't get to your question, please just email us or post it on the forums. Thank you, John, for the demonstration. It was great, and hope everyone enjoyed it, and we hope to see you next time.